Clemson absolutely demolished App State on Saturday, and we finally saw a coaching side from Dabo Swinney that we really haven't seen since 2019.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Clemson podcast. I am your host, John Bivens, your host of every episode. You can follow us over on Twitter at I am John Bivens. We are a credentialed media member for Clemson with baseball, basketball, and football. Thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast at and over on YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. After you listen to this podcast, make sure you go listen to one of the other 200 plus shows that are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here on Locked On Clemson, though, you're getting all sports, all passion, all the time, where we're bringing you everything you need to know regarding Clemson sports. Today is September 9th on this Monday evening. We're going to be talking about the coaching improvement that happened on Saturday, how Cade is a leader, not just a game manager, and then the right wide receivers on the field. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE or LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off of your order. We saw a side of Dabo Swinney that we have not seen since 2019. I mean, guys, we should be pumped. Saturday, Clemson got their first win of the season. Man, they won a game that they absolutely needed to win. Last week in week one, we lost to Georgia in a game that was hyped up, and then dropped. I mean, it was ugly, right? That game was a game where there was so much excitement. I think Clemson fans went into it not expecting a win, but they were expecting to see something competitive. We were expecting to see some kind of progression from last season to this season, and we saw, if anything, a regression. We saw anything degressing from the last season, looking worse. We came into week two really needing something. And honestly, back to week one, Dabo Swinney had a quote that I think fitted up perfectly of why they played so bad. He said that Georgia came into that game expecting a win, while Clemson came into that game hoping for a win. And I think that's exactly how they played. But then week two, which is what we're talking about, this episode is all about week two. We came in and we played App State. And App State is a good team. I know they are a group of five, but they're arguably one of the best group five. I would put them and Liberty as the top two in the group of five teams. They're a good team. They're not someone to just wave off because of who they are. They're not someone to be like, oh, they're not a Power 4 school. No, they're a good school. They're a good football team. They're going to have a great season. Clemson came in and played them, and man, did it go perfect. Like, I almost could not draw this up more perfect. We saw big plays. We saw the routine plays being made. We saw defense fighting almost every down. We saw players rejuvenated. But the thing I really want to talk about right now is we saw coaching that it just brought me peace. The coaching we saw, I was watching the game with my in-laws, and the reason we didn't have a post-game episode, we had a baby shower 5 hours away from our hometown with our in-laws, and they threw us an amazing baby shower. If you're listening, Doug, Amy, we appreciate it. But that's why there wasn't a post-game episode. But I remember I was watching that game on my phone. My in-laws are a big UT game fan, so that game was on TV. So I'm watching on my phone, and throughout the game, I'm just relaxing. I'm smiling. I'm enjoying it. I'm watching this game like I haven't watched since 2018, like 2019, pre-COVID, it feels like. And that seems so long ago. As I'm watching this, my father-in-law kept asking, he asked me the question one time, he said, why are you so happy right now? And it was just, Clemson played like Clemson. If you did not watch this game, you missed Clemson football. You missed Clemson being the team that we know they could be. Our coaching coached exactly how they should. They didn't settle for wide receiver screens. They didn't play and call coaching fearing what our players can actually do. They trusted the system. I think Dabo Swinney trusted Garrett Riley to call this game. I saw one say, you want to see a difference between Dabo Swinney offense and Garrett Riley offense? Week 1 to week 2. I think this game truly shows what Clemson can be. And I know if you know us, the first episode after the game, we overreact a lot. I don't think I'm overreacting too much in saying this is the potential of Clemson football. I know it was against App State. It wasn't against a powerful school. But honestly, how we played, throw almost any powerful school against them, and we're still throwing up huge numbers. This was a game where we scored on 8 straight drives to start the game. I want you to think about that. 8 straight drives resulted in a touchdown. That's right. Not even a field goal, a touchdown. Every possession we had in the first half was a touchdown. Oh, I get chills, man. That's amazing. That is Clemson football. We set records in this game. The most points, we tied the most points scored in Clemson history in a quarter. We beat the most points ever scored in the first quarter by Clemson. We tied the most points scored in a half. We beat the most yards ever gained in a half for Clemson. We played an excellent half. The announcers even said it was the best half all time in the history of the ACC. This was an amazing game. Clemson played who they were, and I'm chalking it up. But the first reason why it was so good was the coaching. They didn't settle. They got a big lead, and they continued pushing for that lead. They scored more, and they wanted the ball back to score again. They wanted it. They pushed for it. The thing that really proves to me that if I could identify one area that really shows that I think Dabo made a change this game into back who he was, is this. When it's late, it was late in the game. App State, there was a play where the call went App State's way, and it obviously was not the right call. It was a very incorrect call on the field, and we're up big. I mean, this game's over. Like that, backups are in. App State even had some backups in. And Dabo Swinney threw the challenge flag on a play that had zero inflection on if Clemson was going to win. I mean, it really didn't make a difference. But Dabo still threw the challenge flag. Why did he do that? Because I really think Dabo came into this game saying, no, we're getting back to who Clemson is. We're getting back to where we're going to win. And we're not just going to win. We want our guys to feel absolutely like a beast, like the beast that they are. He threw a challenge flag in a game where at a spot in the game where the game was already over. That's how you know Dabo's back. Because he was calling not to win. He was calling to make a statement, to prove that Clemson is and this team is who they are. And honestly, I think you can chalk up that last week's game against Georgia. You can officially mark it up as it was a fluke. Am I discrediting Georgia? No. They are a very talented team, probably the most talented team in the nation right now. I think the national championship is going to be Texas and Georgia. And Texas is going to have a hard time, and they're playing out of their minds. Georgia's a great team, but they're not 31 points better than us. That's what we said from the beginning. They're not allow a touchdown against us better. We had a terrible offensive game. We had a terrible coach game, and the coaching in this game truly made a difference. There was aggression. There was pushing for it. There was the coaching were out there reminded me so much of that 2019 season or 2018 season with Trevor Lawrence. The kind that we go out there and the coaching, we're going out there to blow them out. We're not just going for a win. We're going to make them humiliated. We're going to make them go back to the bus and have to think about what terrible performance they just did for the next week. That's the coaching we saw. And it is a brand new side. And if you're a Clemson fan, I'm telling you right now, mark this down. I think we can all in 2 years from now, we're going to look back and mark this down as the game where it all changed, where Clemson got rid of this 3-year skid we've been on and truly went back to the amazing program that they are. This is the game that we're going to point back and be like, that's where Clemson returned to that dominant form. We're not slowing down. I'm marking it right now. We're not losing another game. If coaching sticks with what they are, now if they backslide and go back to what they have been, different story. But if they stick with who they are, we're not losing another game. Not at all. We're gonna win. We're gonna win comfortably. We're gonna win dominantly. I don't think we have too many close games the rest of the season if they continue allowing the players to play how they were and coaching to call how they were. Not only did we see coaching improved in this game, Cade Klubnik finally played like a leader instead of the game manager, and that made a massive difference. 5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast. Whether you have a long list to do for work or a list of DIY projects to tackle at home, take a 5-Hour Energy shot so you can check everything off your list. If you're like me, you always have a large list of projects for home. When you get the supplies for the projects, do not forget the most essential supply, which is a 5-Hour Energy shot. My wife is pregnant. We are 8 weeks away from our firstborn, and you better believe I got a long list of chores. We're building a fire pit. We're mulching the yard. We're doing in the house stuff, getting the nursery together. I got project after project after project, and 5-Hour Energy gives me the energy to get it done. With zero sugar, convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. They have a website with flavors galore: watermelon, tropical burst, grape, and my favorite, berry. There's more for them than enough flavor for everybody. You even have the option to build your own 12 or 24 pack. You choose the flavors delivered right to you. Go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5, hourenergy.com. Get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This is only valid until September 30th on one order. Cannot be used with promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Cade Klubnik is not a game manager. Cade Klubnik's potential is what we saw on Saturday, and that is a absolutely flipping stud. I mean, what a quarterback. You know, all I'm thinking in my head is that song, "What a man, what a man, what a man." You know, I don't want to get copyrighted, but let's go to, you like that singing. You're welcome for that. You're welcome for that. I want to replace it. What a quarterback, what a quarterback. You know, that's it. That's what we just saw. That's the Cade Klubnik we saw, is an absolutely freaking stud. If you missed it after the game last week, Cade Klubnik talked about an interaction he had with a coach, and he didn't name the coach. Usually if it's Taj Boyd, Garrett Riley, or Dabo Swinney, he'll name them. So I don't believe it was one of those three. But he walked off and he said that the coach asked him, "Hey, how many games do you have to win?" And Cade said, "Well, I don't know how to answer that. I have to win all of them. I don't know how to answer that." And the coach said, "You don't have to answer it. You don't have to win any of them. You just have to manage the game and let your teammates win the game." And that's an attitude of a loser. That's an attitude of a team that doesn't have a star quarterback. That's an attitude of a team that doesn't have a 5-star potential quarterback. Cade Klubnik has so much more potential, so much more skill, so much more mentality, and so much more ability than that. He has the ability to be an absolute game leader, put the game on his back and let him win it. Let him use his players and use his team to get the win. And that's what we saw on Saturday. Not coaching was improved. Cade showed who he can be. And I think the coaching let him show who he could be. You know, you can look at all different kinds of resources, and you can look at Cade Klubnik's throw chart, which basically what it is, they'll put a chart up and it'll have different colors. It'll have like green for a touchdown. Every source has uses different colors, but green for touchdown, blue for completion, red for incompletion, white for thrown away, and yellow for a flag. You look at his chart for the game on Saturday, and there's only two things that are not either a completion or a touchdown, and both of them are when he threw the ball away. He went 24 for 26 in one half. He only played one half. 24 for 26. His only two incompletions are when he threw the ball away. He had 378 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. Hey, guys, he had 0 turnovers. Do you see the smile on my face? Like, Cade Klubnik is a stud, and he played like it. He also ran the ball for 2 touchdowns. He led this team to scoring on 8 consecutive drives. He played absolutely amazing. He had a great game. Running the ball, he only had 2 carries for 5 yards, but both carries were touchdowns. He's in the goal line. He didn't need a lot of yards. He got every yard he needed. So pretty much he had 100% rush completion in my book. 2 carries for 2 touchdowns. Cade Klubnik, not only did that, he set history. Guy, I want you to take in the massive of what this is. Cade set history on Saturday. He is the first quarterback at the FBS level that had 5 or more passing touchdowns, 2 or more rushing touchdowns, and a completion of over 90% in the last 25 years. Cade set history. And not only that, he did all this in one half. You can say, oh, it was App State. Yeah, this is the same App State that put up 66 points against Carolina a couple years ago. This is the same App State that Chase Bryce led to beat Texas A&M at Texas A&M. This is that app. This is a monster killer. They're known as the giant killers. And Cade Klubnik demolished them. Cade Klubnik is not just a game manager. In this game, we truly saw him be that. You know, here's a true fact too. You know the last touchdown pass that Cade Klubnik had before this game? It was against Carolina last year. This was the first touchdown pass he's had in over 3 games, came in this game. And it came the third play of a drive, a 78-yard bomb to Bryant Wesco Jr. Look, I've stated in the past that I don't think Cade is Deshaun Watson level. I've stated in the past that I don't think he's this Trevor Lawrence level. And I stick with those. I think he isn't as good as Deshaun Watson in college. He is obviously not NFL. He's garbage in NFL. And Cade's a much better person than Deshaun Watson. Put that out there. But Trevor Lawrence, he's not as good as him. He's a great quarterback. I mean, he has potential to go down as the 3rd best quarterback in Clemson history if he keeps this up. I know you're like, what are you even saying? He's junior year. It's 1 game. No, this is the first game since he came in the ACC championship 2 seasons ago, that we actually got to see the coaching call and allow Cade to be the player that Cade is. He didn't have to be a game manager. And if you don't remember what the difference is, a game manager is someone that their job is to not make mistakes, make the routine plays, and allow your other players to make the big plays. Cade, no, he's more than that. He's a guy that you let lead the team. He's the guy that you say, hey, Cade, we need a touchdown here. Go get one. And he does it. He has that potential. He has that ability. And when you coach him to be that player, when you coach him to be that level of a player, that's when you see what he shines. And this is the first time in so many games that we've seen that. He was electric. He was calm in the pocket. He wasn't moving crazy. He made great throws. There was multiple throws that he put the ball exactly where it needed to be. He had 2 incompletions, and they were intentional incompletions, throwing the ball away. That's how you know he was good. He had an absolutely amazing game. Am I saying he's going to come out and be perfect from here on? No. Am I saying you can expect 7 touchdowns and a half again? No, that's a one-time feat. We'll be blessed if we ever get to see that again in period. But I think if coaching keeps this momentum going, if coaching allows Cade Klubnik to continue playing as the leader that he is, not as the game manager, I think we'll see fans' opinion of Cade Klubnik will change very, very fast. Not only did we see the coaching improve, not only did we see Cade Klubnik improve, we also finally had the right playmakers in the game and had the playmakers to help out the quarterback and help out the rest of the team. And that made a massive, massive difference. It's summertime, and I don't know about y'all, but what that means for me is it is barbecue season. My grill has been going. My smoker has been flaming. The meats have been flying off the grill. And so it's time for you to stock up on all of your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. That way you don't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Fire up that grill. Get those meats going. Ibotta is a free app that lets you get cash back every time you shop. Earn on the hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip or that flight that you've been eyeing or even that fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or even gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is all yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and so much more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Our playmakers and their talent around the quarterback were finally the right mashup in order to have success. Guys, not only was our coaching been questionable the past couple years, not only has our quarterback play been questionable the past couple years, our playmakers, we had the right people in the game. It made me so happy to be able to see this. Last week on Friday, we posted an episode that said in order for us to win this game, Phil Mafah's got to have a big game. And man, did he ever. Phil Mafah, who did not play the whole game, we saw multiple people get rushes. Phil Mafah had 10 carries. That's it, just 10 carries for 118 yards with a touchdown, and one of his touchdowns was an 83-yard rush touchdown. That's the longest touchdown run we've seen since back in 2019. Our playmakers are in the field. Last year, one of the biggest question marks was our offensive line didn't help Cade out. Our wide receivers that were in the game really didn't have the talent. We didn't have any stud or the guys, right? There's a difference in just a good wide receiver and the guy wide receiver. Guys, we had the guys, multiple on the field, and we made the right call. They started Bryant Wesco, which is the absolute right decision. Antonio Williams was the other starting wide receiver. Tyler Brown was there, and TJ Moore was in there, and they made a difference. We saw two different receivers had over 100 yards. With Bryant Wesco had 3 receptions for 130 yards. Brenningstool had 7 receptions for 130 yards. Wesco 1 touchdown. Brenningstool with 2 of them. Both of them had long touchdowns. Bryant Wesco 76 yards, third play from the line of scrimmage for Clemson. Brenningstool had 1 for 41 yards. That Cade Klubnik threw the ball, and I don't think Brenningstool was ready. He caught it on his hip and was like, "Oh yeah, here's the ball," and ran it in for a touchdown. That's what happens when playmakers are on the field. Adam Randall came out and he had a good game, 4 receptions, 31 yards. He didn't start, and I was glad he didn't start because, he had a good game. He had a good game when it was trash time. He had a good game when we were up big already. We started this game with the 4 receivers. I'll throw in 4 that should be receiving this: Wesco, Williams, Moore, Wesco, Williams, Brown, and then Moore. Brown didn't have a great game. He only had 1 reception for -2 yards, but he rolled his ankle, so they pulled him out a little early. He didn't see a lot of playing time. But TJ Moore, the freshman, he had 3 receptions for 44 yards and his first touchdown on the game. It was electric. That's what happens when playmakers are on the field. That's what happens when we truly surround our quarterback, surround Cade Klubnik with playmakers to make a difference. Because that's the thing. You can be the best quarterback ever, and if you don't have the right talent, you're not going to see a lot of success. There's plenty of proof in that. Go back and look at the great quarterbacks that have went through college and shown out when they got to the NFL, and it's because they didn't have playmakers. One of the more recent ones that kind of fixed this is Anthony Richardson. He didn't have a lot of success in college. He honestly didn't. Like, he was a great quarterback, and he put up yards, but he didn't have any successful wins. He didn't go out and make this massive difference, but he got drafted high because the NFL saw his potential. And in the NFL, now that he's have playmakers around him, he's making great plays. Cade Klubnik came out. They allowed him to coach they allowed him to play the player he was, but they also surrounded him with playmakers that could truly make plays. And Adam Randall, I think he's a great guy. I like him. He's not a guy that's going to come out and carry this team. Cole Turner, Dabo Swinney, Brad done Cole Turner talking about he had a good game. And he did 4 receptions for almost 50 yards, but not when the time mattered. Not when we desperately needed the plays, because they didn't put him in there because he's not the guy to do that. Bryant Wesco is the guy to do that. His first down, it was 3rd and 10 in our first drive. Hadn't got a first down yet. And Bryant Wesco just completely outran everybody. He was the fastest player on the field all of week. In all of college football, he was the fastest this week. He had 21.9 miles per hour on that touchdown run. He ran by everybody, made an amazing over-the-shoulder catch, and then ran up. The next drive, he did it again and had to track the ball down and caught it barely got tackled before he could get in the end zone. We have the playmakers. Guys, I know this episode is all positive because we should be excited. Well, this is the time, like we said, that we're going to point back and be like, that's when it all changed. And it's because the coaching improved. It's because Cade Klubnik truly was allowed to play like Cade Klubnik. And it's because we had playmakers in the game that can truly make the plays. Phil Mafah showed up, had a great game. Our wide receivers were actually wide receivers. Bryant Wesco is the guy. And guys, he's a freshman. This was his second game. First start. He made the start. They made the right move and put him in the starting lineup. We have at least 2 more years after this year with him. He's not going to transfer. I'm speaking it now. He's not transferring. He's staying there. He's a guy that can make the differences, that can make the plays. We have the team. We have the coaching. The quarterback is starting to play like the quarterback his potential is, and the playmakers are finally in set. We are going to see a team where we're going to see improvement. This is not going to be another 21, 22, 23 season. This is going to be the season that brings us back to that 2015 to 2020 seasons where Clemson is dominant. They're going to go on a winning stretch. We have an off week this week to just celebrate this, continue growing. We play NC State next week, which is going to be a big game, but guys, be excited. I'm telling you right now, if you're a Clemson fan, get excited, be pumped, because this game made the difference. It's officially hit a switch. Clemson is back. We are back to who we can truly be, and it's going to be exciting. I hope you're ready. I hope you're all locked in, and be ready. Be here with us on every episode because we're going to be celebrating. But Clemson is officially back. And with all that being said, that is going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Clemson. Thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. Now go check out Locked On College Football Podcast, from NIL deals to week game recaps to all the important stuff. Spencer McCaughlin gets you ready for an awesome season. You can find the link down in the description below so you don't need to search. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Later this week, we're going to recap more of that game. We're going to talk about what Clemson needs to continue growing in and continue being excited for this amazing season. Make sure you join our Locked On Clemson Insider program where you can chat with us during the game. We love chatting and interacting with those of you that are already subscribed. Hey, make sure you let us know your thoughts on today's topic. You can reach out to us on Twitter. You can text us start that conversation in the Insider program by text Clemson to 864-252-1907. But if you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast wherever you get your podcast at, or if you're watching us over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That way, every day we can be your first listen here on Locked On Clemson Podcast. Make sure to check out one of the other Locked On Podcast networks where it is your team every day. We can't wait to see you on tomorrow's episode, but until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, guys, go Tigers!